Hello there again and welcome to Market Insight for a Monday morning here in the city of Lagos. It is indeed a pleasure to have you join us today on the program. I am David Chiedu. On Market Insight, as usual, we'll bring you all the updates and everything that you need to know with regards to what the market looks like and how it does affect your pocket or your bank accounts. It's been a wonderful weekend. Hopefully we can start the week on a very financially brilliant note, starting now. But before we get into the conversation, which by the way we'll be talking about the consumer credit system in the country, we'll take a look first at what it turned out like on the floor of the NGX last week. So for a summary of the NGX trading for Friday, 18th October 2024, the end of that last day of trading on the NGX, a total of 358,845,699 shares in 6,709 deals, corresponding to a market value of 11,962,285,332 naira 18 kobo were traded. Compared with the previous NGX trading day, talking about Thursday, October 17, Friday's data showed a 50% improvement in volume, an 87% improvement in turnover, but an 8% decline in deals. Now, the current market capitalization of the NGX is 59.4 trillion naira. And in the aggregate, 122 NGX-listed equities participated in trading, ending with 21 gainers and 24 losers. McNichols led the gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 1 naira 43 kobo per share, followed by University Press going up 9.41%, Dar Communications going up 9.09%, and Transcorp Power going up 8.76%. On the losing side, Aradel Holdings came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.99% at 625 naira 40 kobo per share, followed by Deep Capital Management and Trust going down minus 9.66%, Champion Breweries going down 8.8%, a negative that is, and NPF Microfinance Bank going down 5.88% as well, all in the negative. Japol Gold and Ventures recorded the highest volume of 137 million traded shares, followed by United Bank for Africa, UBA, at 38.6 million shares, Zenith Bank PLC at 27.9 million shares, and Access Holdings at 27.4 million shares. Regarding the performance of the NGX market indices, the benchmark NGX All Share Index paired at 11.10 points to close at 98,070.28, representing a one-week gain of 0.48% and a four-week gain of 0.07%, and an overall year-to-date gain of 31.16%. Other remarkable indices that performed were the NGX Top 30 Index, including the Consumer Goods Index, the Banking Index, the Pension Index, the Premium Index, and the NGX Oil and Gas Index. And that's what it looked like last week on the trading floor of the NGX, ended Friday, October 18, 2024. Now we move forward with the conversation, building and advancing consumer credit system in Nigeria. We'll get into the heart of it after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Market Insight. Now we're talking about enhancing, or if you like, advancing the consumer credit system in Nigeria. Now, in today's fast-paced global economy, access to credit is the backbone of financial freedom. Yet millions of individuals and small businesses lack the credit scores and history to secure loans, mortgages, or even credit cards. Now, consumer credit is a staple element in developed economies, and it does help citizens enjoy the quality of life well above current earnings by allowing access to goods and services without having to pay upfront. Now, realizing the importance of this concern, the Nigerian government recently created the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, Credit Corp, which aims to enhance access to credits to 50% of all working Nigerians by 2030, which is just in about 6 years. Now, the government has done that with a total of 100 billion naira takeoff fund. Now, if you have had a good financial history, or if you do have a good financial history, you could offset major financial bottlenecks by just applying. Now, the thing is, not many have this. But what if everyone had a fair chance to build credit, regardless of their background or financial history? What are the chances of that happening? We'll discuss this and more on the program this morning. And joining us is a financial services expert and the founder and CEO of Liberta Leasing, a women-owned, led and impact-focused financial services company, in the person of Dr. Ayokunnumi Olugbemiro. Dr. Olugbemiro, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
All right, let's get your thoughts first off by way of an overview with regards to what our system is when it comes to, credits, consumer credit, as far as the Nigerian system is. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, thank you very much. So for our system, consumer credit is pretty still low because there's still huge credit gap, over 25 trillion naira gap in consumer credit loans in Nigeria. And one of the challenges that we have in ensuring us to bridge this gap is because we don't have a lot of people that have credit history, which you talked about earlier on, like the no credit history that people can use to assess this loan. But my question and my thinking is, I feel it's an anomaly for you to feel that before you can assess credit, you must have taken a loan before, you must have credit history. What of us having other means of assessing someone to be able to qualify or have the right criteria to meet up with a credit facility? So basically, I looked at it that instead of saying that all Nigerians or at one point in time should have borrowed funds from somewhere or taken a loan somewhere before, why not also looking at the digital footprint of the person? Say, for example, myself, I'm a lender. I've never borrowed before. So if you're going to assess my credit history, you might be finding that I risk because I've not taken any loan before. You cannot judge my personality based on the history, if I have the capacity, the capability, the character to take a loan. But if you look at other digital footprint that I have in terms of if we can look at the rent, I pay my rent on time. It can also give me a good credit score. I pay my electricity bill on time. I pay other things on time when I have access to it. So this can be a method where we can actually look at ensuring that people can have access. And it also ensure financial inclusion because there are a lot of people that don't even earn income, that they don't have a stable, not a stable, a well calculated income daily or monthly, and they need these funds to take care of their financial needs and their lifestyle. How do we get these people included into this credit system? It's also looking at other things where they pay money for, other things what they do that can help them assess credit without saying that they've not borrowed before or they don't have a credit history or the like. So basically, I think we should not judge people on your credit history before you can assess loan. We should look at other digital footprints that such person can have and use that to assess a first-time borrower to assess credit.
Interesting stuff. So you've spoken about accessing credit, and we're gonna, dwell more on that much later on as we go on.
Okay.
But I'm also curious with regards to our status as a country when it comes to credits. Many years ago, this was post-independence, Nigeria hadn't just come into its own as a sovereign state. We were more or less a welfare state, so to speak. We had some socio-economic policies put in place by the government at the time that made it easy for Nigerians to have certain things working for them without having to do quote unquote too much. Yeah. But we saw that dwindle over the years as our population grew and it became increasingly difficult for the government to handle, those sort of things. They couldn't keep up, so to speak. So, you talk to people right now, some of them don't even remember that we had something like that, or some of them who remembered seem to have forgotten because it feels like it's almost a figment of our imagination, largely due to some defects in the system. So, as that's the case, some stakeholders have said, to get back to enjoying, what we used to have back in the day, that we might need to enhance our consumer credit system in more ways than one. Do you agree with this?
Yes, I do agree with that. We need to enhance our consumer credit system in different ways. And for me, I would say that we should have different products. So let's look at the international community, the developed countries. They have likes of credit card, where it's just easy. They have a credit card and they can use it to buy anything at any point in time. And probably at the end of the month, maybe when they get their income, they debit them from the credit card. That's one way where people can actually have access, like without even going through any rigorous kind of system. Through the banks can issue that. Other financial institutions can also issue that. But I also feel that Nigeria as a whole, we're not yet fully ready because we still have this cultural mindset or cultural problem where we don't have good mindset towards credit. So because we are largely a cash economy system, we do not believe that, or we feel it's spiritual that, we don't borrow or something like that. Whereas for every economy to thrive, we need to have a very good and proper credit system in place so that the country can grow and the country can move forward. So I feel that there should be more awareness in terms of the government should bring out policies that can be driven home to the locals, not policies in Abuja and they just mention it on the TV and that's it. And nobody is enjoying the benefit of the policies they've made. They should drive it home to individuals, to communities, to locals, to organizations, where we can also preach credit to individuals, to people, and to the community at large.
Now, I hear you. And this last part which you spoke about, which is democratizing it,
yes.
In your words, driving it home, that's essentially what it is. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. You've mentioned a couple of salient points, but I'm also very curious. We have a very high interest environment, so to speak, So how do what does it take, or first of all, how and what does it take to, build our consumer credit system in our particularly high interest environment?
Okay, so what it takes to build consumer credit system first, I feel first of all is financial literacy. We need to educate the people because you cannot build a system where the people do not understand how the system works. So it's first of all educating the people, knowing that this is what it means to be credit worthy. This is what it takes to assess a kind of loan. This is what you need to do. This is the steps you need to follow to be able to say that, when they are building policies or when they are building credit systems, that will fit in to their own business environment or their own individual lifestyle or business environment. So I feel we need to do more of financial literacy in educating a lot of Nigerians in what it takes to take credit, what it takes for credit to be available to them, because a lot of people have that mindset. And I would give you an example. Look at the COVID. The government brought out a credit system during COVID that was through Nirasal, microfinance bank, where they give out loans to businesses and individuals. A lot of Nigerians saw that money as grant, as free money, until maybe last year or early this year, government started debiting people's accounts that took that loan. And a lot of people were like, I thought it's free money. I thought it's free money. And I'm like, no, it's a loan. It's for you to be able to survive, to sustain yourself, even in business. So our mindset naturally is not, when we see money, we feel, oh, loan is free money. We have that mindset that loan is free money. It's not meant to be paid back. So we need to build first. We need to educate people. We need to give them that knowledge, that understanding that what is a loan is a loan. What is a grant is a grant. It's way different. So by that, when we build any credit scheme, any policies, any whatever, it will stand. It will be adhered to. It will be easy for people to jump on it. It will be easy for people to embrace it, basically. Yeah.
Now, you speak about enlightenment and education, and I'm with you on that one, because even up until this moment, I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm not particularly clear on the idea of one's credit score. I'm putting it out there on national television. I'm not particularly clear on that, and that's why you are the expert who's going to help us to, get a hang of that particular, gray area for most, as it were. So, speaking about information, what exactly? Now we're getting somewhere. What exactly is one's credit score? Because for you to have access to certain or specific loans, you have to have a very good credit score.
Sure.
How do we know that? What is it to start with?
Okay, so thank you so much again for that question. So what it is to start with about credit score is this. Credit score is scoring you based on your capacity, based on your promptness to paying back your loan. So they score you using those parameters, and they give you a score that, oh, you take a loan from so company at the due date, at a repayment date, you were able to pay on time. If you don't pay on time, maybe you have 10 days delay, it will affect your scoring, because they will have believed that at the time where you were taking the loan, you actually had an income. So if it's a salary loan, take for example, if it's a salary loan, your salary is being paid on the 30th of every month. So on the 30th, they expect that money will be in your account, salary will be paid to your account, and you will be able to, whatever means of collection will take the money from there, or you will pay. So if you don't pay, maybe 1 day default, 2 days, 3 days, and so on and so forth, it impacts your credit score. And that's why I said earlier on that I feel is an anomaly in the world, actually, where they feel that before you can build a good credit history, you must have taken a loan at some point in time. I don't come from that school of thought. I believe that use other means to assess me, to build my credit report, and that is one of the things I'm building as a fintech. Well, I have a fintech company which is called Nira. I'm building a credit score system where I use digital footprint. I use other means to assess if this person can pay back a loan or cannot pay back. If this person will have a good credit score or not. So. And for me, it's the government takes BVN, takes NIN, takes all those things. They have this records, they have this data, but we are not using this data to help the credit system. Because with your BVN, with your NIN, if people submit their report, because it's expected of every lender or financial institution to submit their credit reports, everyone that has taken a loan, everyone that has a financial transaction, to submit it to the bureaus. But we found out that in Nigeria, a lot of people do not submit their reports. And even when some people submit, they submit reports that are not accurate. And we also have on the part of the bureaus where they do not update their reports. So you see someone that has finished paying a loan and is still showing on the bureau that this person is owing. You have someone that a loan is lost on the bureau and the person is still showing, the person has lost a loan, and another lending company is availing such person credit. What happens to you telling the person, go back and sort out this loan before you take another one? So we have a lot of problem. One of it is quality of data, which is very poor. One of it is the credit bureaus not updating real time their data so that people can pull reports and see the score and see the true situation, the true life situation of that individual borrowing, which will help us to say, oh, this person has a good credit rating, this person has a poor credit rating, because we are trusting the information they've given us. So I can't say that 100% that the information on the bureaus can be trusted 100%. Yeah.
Now, you've said you've addressed the issue. Now, I want to also ask, just like you also attributed to, during your remark, for the ones who do not or who don't fall into the subset or category of borrowers, like yourself, as you mentioned earlier. So the alternative would be the means that you mentioned, which is tracking that person's history or background besides their credit score.
Sure.
Interesting. And you're talking about, or you mentioned their digital footprint and all of that. What if that individual hasn't taken too many walks in the digital space? What happens?
And so if such person has not taken too much digital footprint, now that is where you can now say that there is no basis of you judging the person to be able to give the person a score. Maybe the person has a good score or a low score to access a loan. Right now in Nigeria, we don't have it. We only score based on the loans you've taken, the behavior, the pattern, how you've paid back your loan, your repayment processes. That's how we judge right now. But we, for my company, what we do is we don't only look at that, because we believe in giving loan to a lot of first timers, a lot of people that have not done even business in that area before. But sometimes when I interview them, and take for example an entrepreneur that wants to start a business, maybe I call the person to interview the person. I look at all the things to assess to give that person loan. I look at your passion. I look at how nitty-gritty you know the business you're going into. Because you cannot start a business if you don't know all of it. You don't know a large chunk of that business. You will definitely fail. Because you don't know the risk, you don't know the benefits in that business. You just feel that, oh, this business is good, it's making a lot of money, let me jump into it. So I look at that passion, I look at your understanding of your business, how well you grasp or your experience on the field on that business. I look at that, and I always make that exception for people like that have not borrowed before, because no bank will borrow their money. The banks don't do those jobs. We do the dirty jobs. So I look at those things and say, okay, I can avail you this form of credit with strict monitoring. So
how do you ensure that monitoring? That's another thing that's
yes, we have monitoring teams. We also do not so take for example, the person has let's say a local purchase order from a reputable company, take for example, and the person wants to supply such goods. What we'll do is we don't pay money directly to the person's account. We send to the person they are buying from directly. So it's bridge the gap of person mismanaging the money, because a lot of mismanagement happen in a lot of entrepreneurs. So we try to help the person also to be upright. So we transfer the money to the end points of the purchase, and that person can just go and pick the items and now supply. Do you understand? And if there's need for any transportation and all other miscellaneous expenses, we calculate it and we give it to you and ensure you do that. And we still monitor. We still, follow up, check up on you, calls, ask for reports. What are you doing? How's the business? And we also have the companies to know that if this person has delivered on time, if this money will be paid at the right time when it's set to be paid. Because sometimes it's usually not also the entrepreneur's problem. Sometimes it's also the problem of all these big companies where their 30 days is not 30 days. 30 days goes to 45 days, it goes to 60 days and the like. So we also take that into cognizance before we give credit to a first timer.
Now, going back to what you mentioned earlier about your assessment of these individuals and then certain exceptions to the general rule, as you were, what happens in the event where said individuals who has had graces extended to them, or has had faith extended to them, defaulting? What happens?
So that's one of the major problems also we have in the credit system, where we have issues with defaulters. And the FCCP protects consumers a lot. you can't body shame, you can harass, you can't do all these things to recover your money, you know.
Some would disagree with you. I've heard stories about people who borrowed from some of these
digital apps,
exactly,
yeah.
And then in their words they tell you that, oh, these people, they will call you till tomorrow, they call you when you're sleeping, they will send you text, send your contacts text,
yeah.
What's the word, disparaging you, calling
Yeah.
you all sorts of names, calling you a criminal, this and that, the other. Isn't that some form of harassment?
So they do that illegally because it's not right. Illegally. Yeah,
right.
It's not right for them to do that. Because someone has borrowed money, you shouldn't, pry into the privacy. And that's why the FCCP is taking consumer protection right very seriously, and they are hammering and closing down organizations that are doing that. So in the case of default, so I want to address your question now. In the case of default, where all things being equal, this person is not able to pay back his or her loan. So we usually come to a dialogue table most times and have a sit-down conversation and know the reason why you are not able to, pay back your loan. So by the time we dialogue, we have conversation, if it's an act of God, because truly they're act of God. If it is an act of God, we give that person a little bit more time to, to come out of the state of which he is in right now, and we believe that he's going to pay. Now, but for an ardent defaulter that money is being paid, or he got a salary and he evaded all the system, what we'll do is we are expected to report such. We should have a platform where, and these are the solutions now, we should have a platform where we can report such to a system where we can say that this person has the capacity to pay back, this person has all it takes to pay back the loan, but chose to default. Now, if we have a system that can report that, which the credit bureau is kind of doing, but it's not effective. Because what if you first payment you paid, second payment you don't pay, third payment you pay? It will give you a fair report where they can say you are medium risk. Do you understand? And such people will increase their interest rates. Their interest rate is higher because they cannot be trusted. So when we have such ardent defaulters, what we'll do is I expect that we have a system where we can report so that such person will not have access to loan anymore. In the developed countries, if you cannot pay your loan back, if you cannot pay your credit cards back, what happens? You are not able to even rent a house. You can't do anything financial system in that country. So that is why, because that fear has to be put in there, which is a support from the government. The government, CBN at 2020 gave us a policy of GSI, Global Standing Instruction, which would have been a wonderful and the most interesting policy that CBN has brought on. But they actually still stifle that policy by saying we should make it a last resort. And that policy only addresses someone that uses a CBN license. That's when you can have access to that portal. So it's majorly bankers so what of the lenders? Open this policy up for we lenders to be able to have access so that we can also be able to see defaulters at a glance, and we don't lend to defaulters anymore. But when we don't have such access, and when we cannot even be able to look at the banks of the defaulter and know that this person has money in other accounts, but the accounts in which he registered with us, there's no money there. Do you get? If the CBN can also help us to open it up, not just to the to the bankers, to the commercial banks, but also lenders that are not licensed by CBN, probably licensed by state lenders license. Open it up for us so that we also can enjoy that global standing instruction. With that, if every consumer or every business owner knows that such is put in place, trust me, the level of default will reduce. Because they now know that you know how to get them. So there's no way, there's no hiding, there's no corridor they can hide. But because they know that there are places they can still, there are loopholes that they can hide. You can present their check and that check will return. Our legal system is in a mess. You can't take such, it's wrong for you to present a dot check. Yeah. Do you get? It's a fraudulent, it's a fraudulent act. But what happened to our legal system? Our legal system, if we have such situations and we want to take it to the court or to all this court to say this is the problem we have, before they give judgment takes maybe 10 years. So it's making the credit system in shambles because we don't have power as lenders to have access or discipline borrowers to paying back their loans. And because this happens, a lot of borrowers take advantage of the system, and so we now have a lot of lenders moving backward and having a more stringent risk criteria, which we have. Before we can give you a penny, we analyze, we assess, we do all sorts. We are sure that you can pay back. But the only one we leave out is act of God. So if there's anything wrong, we know that, okay, there's no way you can pay back. So let's go.
Interesting. And then earlier you mentioned that for the category of lenders, I think you call them middle something, those are the ones that you'd have the interest rate being taken up.
Yes, the low and the high risk, the middle class,
yes,
the middle, yes.
And you have the interest rate taken up to
Yes.
discourage them from taking the loans,
No,
so
not
that
to-
they would not default.
No, yes. So the reason why the interest rate is higher is because the risk is higher.
Right.
The means of collecting back their money is higher. So it's left between the lender to say, I still want to go ahead with this loan. Yes.
Interesting. Now, still speaking about information, education, and enlightenment, I'll
Yes,
take you
yes.
back to the question that led to this particular train of thought, which is the credit score. You've talked about what it is and in what forms it appears. How do we know them? Now, if I had a credit score right now, I can't tell you that I know what it is, right? So for the ones who are frequent borrowers, how do they know their own credit score? Is there a way to find that out?
Yes. So for every individual is expected. So sometimes I do that. I check the credit bureau system. We have different credit bureaus. We have the credit registry. We have the First Central. We have the CRC. We have them. So we use First Central, and sometimes I go in there and put my name and spool my report and see what they are saying, they are reporting about me. So I think also that the credit bureaus should create awareness that individuals should learn and know more about their credit history, their credit score, their credit performance, even if they've not taken loan before. Do you understand? They should create more awareness on that, where individuals can assess their system, not just businesses like us, can assess their system and put in their names to check if they are credit worthy, if they have a low risk or high risk or medium risk on their credit report. So I think that's just the major thing. So individuals also seek for knowledge, basically. Or when they want to borrow, they should ask the lenders to kind of spool their credit reports for them. Let them also have access to it, because we always spool for every individual.
Credit penetration in Nigeria has risen to about 14% over the last 15 years, while 33 million Nigerians already have a credit score, according to the CRC Credit Bureau, like you mentioned earlier, that particular establishment. Now, in your view, what is the implication, or what is the impact on, the economic cycle in the country when you're talking about manufacturing or manufacturers, service providers, financial intermediaries, and the rest of them?
Okay, so the impact for me is, first of all, let me start with the manufacturers. The manufacturers are the key, for me, they are key to economic growth, because they are the one that helps the economy to move forward, because we are producing, they are manufacturers, they produce. Now, if these manufacturers have access to credit, and because the challenge in Nigeria right now is access to credit. I said it already, that there's a huge gap to accessing credit, because first of all, let's say the manufacturers, we expect that the CBN through the banks would have an allocation, or just the way they give them a percentage of their deposit to go as loan. They should have such for the manufacturers, that this amount of money should go into the manufacturing sector to produce different items that we consume in Nigeria and can be exported. With that, we all know that when we export more, it's going to increase foreign exchange to the country, and it also help the country as a whole. So I feel that the CBN should ensure that the bank have that portion for the manufacturing sector to be able to assess credit. And another thing in assessing this credit is that one of the challenges people face in assessing the credit is huge sum of paperwork. So we have the likes of Bank of Industry. They usually help the Bank of Industry usually gives single-digit interest rates for the manufacturers to accept credit, but a lot of them do not always want to go through that route because there is high bureaucracy in terms of the paperwork, the documentation, and somebody is tired at the point of bring this, bring security deposit, bring all sort of things that such, let's say, starter as a manufacturer will not even be able to have. And they turn back and say, oh, this loan is not for me, I can't access this loan because of the huge paperwork and stuff like that. So I feel that they should make this accessing this credit to this sector very, very easy. The paperwork, whatever, the documentation, the processes should be minimal, should be reduced. The stress they go through, what you ask, you say they should bring collateral, they should bring someone that is just starting up to manufacture, probably has been able to gather some money to buy some machineries and need more machinery to improve. And you're saying bring collateral. Bring this and that. That person would be discouraged to continue that business line. And once there's no fund immediately, apart from other challenges they have, electricity, blah, 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 they would automatically just say, no, I can't survive this business in Nigeria. So same thing with other sectors, same things with other intermediaries. We should make the process easier. The government should, if government is, so just like the government brought out, like 5 days or whatever days ago, they brought out that policy, they launched the CNG loan. And, that policy has been there. The launching is there already. Execution is going to be porous because the people that need that money will not access it. They said they want to ensure that compression of natural gas, right? And they want to give loans so that people can convert their cars from fuel consumption to gas consumption. Now, this has been launched. This is set to be achieved. But the people that need this loan will not access it because the bureaucracies they will put on it, the bureaucracy is too much. You see, somebody will tell you, oh, settle me this 2% before I can give you a leeway to access this money. And that's why you see borrowers do not want to pay back because the money they use, they spend in the processing fee, get this documentation, get this done, is almost 30% or 40% of the amount they are collecting. So the intention for collecting those loans would not be fulfilled. They would not pay back because they've expended that lot of money in terms of cost on documentation, paperwork, blah, 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 collateral. Doesn't make sense.
Right. Hopefully, whatever policy that the government is putting together will address that, but we can't particularly say for certain that these bureaucratic niceties would affect them, albeit, fingers crossed with regards to the, implementation of said policies as you were. But, away from that, let's talk about consumer loans. Now, we have mortgages, we have auto loans, we have credit cards, personal loans, and all of that. These largely constitute consumer loans. However, these types of loans are still rather low as far as the Nigerian context is concerned. The stats are incredibly unsettling or staggering, as the case may be. Now, data shows that the core of what it is that we know as consumer loan, at the center of it all, of what we know as consumer loans, aren't particularly, or isn't particularly what it's supposed to be around here. We're not practicing it as it should be. What's your take on it? And a lot of experts have said that this is largely due to a dysfunctional nature of our credit bureau system. So do you agree with that sentiment, and how do we fix it?
So I would not agree that it's not practiced. It's not practiced because I'll say that, well, maybe the access to it is not as much, but practice, there are a lot of companies, a lot of credit companies that you don't even know of them, that they are operating in Nigeria right now. But there are actually still some.
Are we talking about the legal ones or the illegal ones?
I don't know about the legal ones. Okay, I know about the legal ones.
Let's err on the side of legality.
Yes, I know about the legal ones. And the statistics is there. Go to the Lagos State Women Affairs. You will get the list of people that have access to money lending licenses. And you will see that there are a number of them that are doing this consumer credit loans. But when you say that mortgages, yes, I agree. We don't do mortgage in Nigeria. Even the bank.
We should do.
As much as we should. I don't even think we do it. Even the banks. Even the banks.
There are. Hence,
I don't agree.
Hence the term very low.
Yes. Okay. Let me agree to you. Very low. And this is the reason why I said so. And I'll say it here. So sometimes early the year, I spoke to my bank and I said, I want a mortgage loan. Is there a way I can access it? They gave me the regular commercial loan. Is that mortgage loan? No, it's the same thing. So we're not practicing that. I know that. And the reason why we're not practicing that is probably funds, because mortgage are usually long-term, like 10 years, 20 years. So probably access to funding for these lenders. If I have funds, I have pool of funds, I would practice it. I would develop a mortgage loan for women, where women will have access to be able to say that they have a property that they can use as collateral, because that's another big deal. Women do not have that. It's usually their husband. But now we have a lot of women doing businesses. So when they asked me, when I wanted access to loan one time for my business, they asked me for collateral. I do not have a collateral. Do you get it? So I agree so to say that we're not practicing it. We're not practicing consumer credit loan properly. But I can say that there are largely a lot of organizations that have carved out their own niche. We have loans, we have rent loan, we have school fees loan, I can name my products. We have car for cash. We have, we have quick loan. We have salary loan. We have a lot of loans that are out there. Still not enough. We can do better. We can create more products, bespoke products that will help in building the lifestyle of Nigerians.
And then this would help close the
gap.
Yeah,
close the gap. Yes, earlier. Yes.
All right, fantastic. Let's call time on the program this morning. On that note, I wish we had the luxury of time. Dr. Olugbemiro has been quite the company, I would say, giving us all the information that we need, and then some. I have to say thank you very much, Dr. Olugbemiro, for joining us.
You're welcome.
And you look very fantastic. In fact, very, very telling that you are not a borrower. Instead you're a lender.
I'm a lender, yes.
It does show. It does show.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we've been talking about building and advancing the credit system in the country, and our guest, Dr. Olugbemiro, has given us quite a number of thoughts. Some I can just subsume under two very important points. Number one being closing the gap towards the accessing or the ability to access credits, and of course democratizing certain functionalities as far as the credit system in the country is concerned. She mentioned a lot of things, talking about the challenges, bureaucratic niceties, red tape, unnecessary red tape, as far as these facilities, these loan facilities are concerned, or these credit facilities are concerned, of which the former would be, a surefire way to circumvent these challenges. And hopefully, everyone, as I asked at the beginning of the program, would be at some point able to access credits and, would be able to understand the true nature of these things and know how to go about them. Like we talked about during the course of our discourse, where I asked the question about, credit scores, what they are, how we know what they are, who standardizes these things, and all of that. So hopefully we get to a point, as I mentioned, where all of us, well, majority of us actually, would get the hang of these things and would not be turned back when we need certain facilities to handle certain financial concerns. Now, away from that, we go over to the currency market, take a look at what's going on there for the week so far, Monday, 21st October 2024, taking a look at the currency market. On the official market, the naira is trading to the dollar at 1,679 naira. To the pound sterling, 2,221 naira. To the euro, 1,856 naira. And elsewhere on the parallel markets, the naira to the dollar trade is 1,725 naira. To the pound sterling on the parallel market, 2,270 naira. And to the euro, 1,850 naira. That is what it looks like at the Forex market today, Monday, 21 October 2024. I'd like to say special thanks again to our guest who joined us early on the program, Dr. Ayokunnumi Olugbemiro, which is a financial services expert, and also she is the founder and the CEO of Liberta Leasing, a women-owned, led, and impact-focused financial services company. That's all there is today on today's edition of Market Insight. Many thanks once again for joining us. Do stay tuned for the news update at the top of the hour, and Souk Sports later on at 1. Market Insight comes your way again tomorrow at the same time. Do keep a date with us. I am David Chiedu. Good morning.